Alrighty, if I could call us back to order, please. May I have a motion to resume? Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Second? Councillor Abel, thanks. Up next is the corporate revenue and expenses. Mr. Elliott. Tab number would be 13. Tab 13. And we did have the presentation, yes.
We didn't have the detailed presentation.
No, for me? Didn't we? Mr. Elliott, did you not? No, it doesn't look like it. So, Mr. Elliott, if you would care to go through your presentation.
I will go through my presentation.
Date is confusing me here.
And try to enlighten you almost on a line-by-line item basis. There's very little of this that is rolled up together. And so let me go through that, and we'll see how we make it on questions. There's one difficult line in here, and it's on the third slide. So the function of corporate revenues is really, this is the area where these are corporate-wide in nature. They're difficult to associate with any specific department. So no one sort of gets credit for the pros and the cons in this, except for perhaps myself here. Uh-oh, what did I do? Technical. Here we go. So the first item, we're going to go through the corporate expenses first, and then we'll go through the corporate revenues, pretty much line by line. So the first line in the corporate expenses pages is personnel costs, and you'll see it's $599 in 2013 and $107 in 2014. So last year we had townwide gapping in there for $100,000. We have that again. This, again, to refresh you, this is the credit towards the salaries budgets to allow for people to leave the town and take a few weeks to replace. So we budget zero up for everybody who is here to be here the whole year, but we know that that's not reality. Some will leave, and their chair may stay empty for upwards of 8 to 10 or 12 weeks. And so we put a budget figure in here of $100,000 to offset those salaries that will otherwise be budgeted for that period. So this is a credit in the expenses side. We also know that across the board there's going to be benefit savings of $50,000 from our new contract with our new carrier. And this is that $50,000 benefit savings just applying across the board. So those are actually revenues or contra expenses. They're backwards expenses. This prior year non-recurring item, $536, was in last year's budget and is not in this year's budget. And this is difficult to explain, but I'm going to give it a try. But let me just finish off on the last line before I forget, is retiree benefits. This is where a person retires from a department. They're no longer associated with that department, but they have some benefits costs they incur between if they retire early. And so these are those costs that we budget for those. And last year it was 36. We were a little under budgeted for that, and so we've got 42.5 for this year. Back to the prior year non-recurring. Last year when we were doing this budget at the last hours, we were looking for savings at the staff level before we put it together for council. And we were working on some Excel spreadsheets that had been compiled, and as it turns out, they weren't quite right. However, in those reviews, we thought they were right, and we started pulling away some expenses out of those budgets. And we pulled $395,000 out of the budget, and we anticipated that the manager would then go back into the computer system and reflect those in the computer system. And unfortunately, either when he went back, he realized that his sheets were wrong and those dollars didn't even exist in the computer to take out, or he didn't even get around to doing it. But after budget approval, we discovered that our budget system did not balance to the same budget that the council approved. It had a hole in it by $395,000. Unfortunately, as your treasurer, if I make a mistake, it's in numbers. Fortunately, this mistake was on the budget side and was not on the real dollar side. So I apologize for that. It directly causes a pressure in the 2014 budget. However, thanks to my colleagues around the table, we've been able to overcome that. So that was $395, or call it $400,000 on that side. We were doing that to try to make sure that the budget was as trim as it could be, but also leaving enough room to fund what we thought were the costs of the job evaluation process. And we funded that to the tune of about $145,000, and our costs, the actuals, were less than that by about $9,000. So I got $395 going one way, I got $9 going another, and then part of the funding for the job evaluation process was a further $150,000 coming in from reserve last year, and that was showing in several reports last year. And so that is a non-recurring item this year, so we're not doing that. Those three items make up the 536. I'm not sure if anybody wants to have a question on that one, but we'll come back to it. The cost reallocations is the next line item. These are the specific charges that go to the building and the buildings department to charge them their share of the corporate overheads. And last year's budget was $631, and we think that was overzealous. We've met with Tasha, and we've agreed on a number that is not 526, but is actually 422, being another 104,000 less. So what we've done is we've staged the reduction in 2 years to spread it out, reduce the impact of the tax rate this year. That's what we try to do, is find ways to mitigate tax pressures that are otherwise happening. This one, 100,000 at a time is easier to swallow than 200,000 at a time. And so we've got reductions on the CAO clerks and council. We thought it was 136, and we've adjusted that down to 83. Payroll accounting, 79. We've documented the methodology for the calculations on each of the line items here, and so that we're consistent year to year. And we've agreed on the methodology, so all that changes is the number of telephones, or the number of cell phones, or the number of computers, or the number of staff, or the number of managers in that zone compared to the rest of the organization, and they get their proportionate share. Human resources, it's number of staff in their group divided by the total number of staff. It's proportionate shares. So we've gone all the way down there. Legal division is one that was kind of awkward. We had an allocation. We carry a legal department to provide advice and defense on all matters, and we concluded that perhaps bylaw in reality does not use the legal services, building services don't. They have they pursue their own enforcement, and they rarely use legal services. They use legal services on the bylaw side, but not on the building side. And this is just buildings. Corporate communications was not there, so we added a charge. And licensing and court clerk, this is the new position, and there's $10,000 of that position to be funded from the building services group, because there's a little share of activity that they'll be doing for building services. So that's the 526 that's made up for this year, and I believe that the change for next year is only on a couple of those line items where we'll phase it down next year to 422. The external audit fee is the next line. Doesn't need a whole lot of explanation. It's the same, and that's exactly what it is. It's the fee for external audit together with any ancillary services for the audit that I may need, including actuarial services for verification of post-retirement benefits and sick leave and different things, WSIB. So all three of those are under evaluation by a professional third-party actuary, independent of the accounting firm that we use for the audit. The cultural services contract, this is where it lands. I think for purposes of our final green sheets, we're going to move it over to Parks and Rec because they've picked up the culture element of the organization formally. So that is unchanged. They will be here next Monday night to ask for their budget. I don't know what it is. And something tells me I think they're looking for 377, I suspect. But not. We'll wait for them to ask you for any additional funding. The operating contingency last year, you had $50,000, and this is the council operating contingency for things that come up mid-year. Last year at budget, you gave away 10 of it to the Historical Society, and so we've taken it off of their amount that was up in the council budget, and we've taken it off here and put it back, and so you're back at $50,000 for 2014. The WSIB claims costs, this we draw from reserve to fund whatever expense we incur. We expect to fund approximately $85,000 of miscellaneous WSIB costs, and this also includes the cost for WSIB excess loss insurance, we call it. It's a policy that provides cover in the event that we have catastrophic injuries on the job that will cost us a whole lot of cash, because we fund WSIB self-insured, basically. We're called Schedule 2. So we self-insure, but if it's over a certain amount, we carry a policy for those excess amounts. So we're looking at $85,000 flatlined. The SARC debt payment is flatlined. Sorry, there's just a subtle change in there. That one changes each year subtly because the interest rate changes each year. And it is fully offset from a draw from DCs in the revenue side of this budget. You have contributions to reserves. Again, these are corporate expenses, so that SARC payment was a payment out to pay off the debt. The contribution to reserves, the gas tax has to flow through our operating budget, so we receive it, and so there's a revenue there. And here's the expense going to reserve. We draw from DC reserves to pay the library debt, and we make a contribution to the Green Initiatives Reserve of $20,000. That's what used to be funding our Bullfrog Power Premium, you'll recall. But in 2013, we created this reserve and made a $20,000 contribution, so we've duplicated that again. Last year, we had a budget for a transfer to the reserve of Emerald Ash Borer funding, and this year, we're taking that off, and we're going to fund it from within the cash to capital. And so essentially we've reclassified and added the street trees, or the ash trees, as a capital asset. And so it's taking a piece of that funding to look after those ash trees. So there still will be funding available for Jim and his program, but it's not a separate contribution to reserves. On the cash to capital, the base was $3.823 million, the same as last year. And as set out in our 10-year capital plan, we proposed a 0.6% of tax rate pressure to be added to that this year, and so that's $208,000. And we also carry a provision for tax adjustments because of adjustments that happen at the Assessment Review Board or on appeal directly with MPAC, and we carry a $180,000 provision for that. Again, it is not a loss of rightful taxes to be collected. It is not that. It is a reduction to the rightful tax for each individual taxpayer affected. And so that, Mr. Chair, is the total $7.77 million in the corporate expenses category. And now I'm going to go into the revenue side. And so on the corporate revenue side, we have penalties that we earn on unpaid taxes. We were speaking about this the other day. And so we have a budget in here of $975,000 that we earned from people who do not pay their taxes on time. There's not much of a hammer for us to force collection on them other than charging a high interest rate allowed by the province. So we do that, and then we also have the potential of a tax sale if they continue on for 3 years or more. And we'll be seeing some information on that coming soon in February. We have investment income of $1.55 million. This is the investment income that we earn on not the reserve fund money, because those reserves keep their interest. We pool, sorry, Councillor Thompson, we went through this last week. We pool all of the investment money together and manage our investment portfolio as one. But there's two components. There's the amounts that are sitting in reserve. They earn interest, so that is not in this amount. But what is included in this amount is money that we have cash on hand. We have taxes that we've collected from the region and the school board but have not yet remitted to them. We get to keep that for a while and we earn interest on it. We also have unspent capital funds that we have allocated to projects but have not been spent yet, and so that interest comes here. So that's how we earn interest to the operating dollars. We also have interest on the hydro funds, and we draw $500,000 a year from that. We were hoping to be able to reduce that to $400,000 this year, but given the tax pressure and given the special year that it is, we found it difficult to recommend a reduction in that, given the impact to the taxpayer that it would have. The federal gas tax is a grant. We believe it's going to be at least $1.461 million. That's what it was last year. It will flow through these books as a revenue, and just a couple pages ago back out to the infrastructure funding reserves. And so whatever amount it is, any change in it will not have an impact to the taxpayer at this time. Other than long-term, these funds are used to alleviate pressure on the ratepayer because the feds are giving us this to help us with our infrastructure on an ongoing basis. Transfers from DCs, these are the two debt payments. The SARC debt comes through from DCs, and the funding of the library debt comes through from DCs. So these are draws on reserves that become a revenue in this budget. A couple pages ago, they go out, so they flow through. Again, I have to have these in the budget so that they're approved so that I can actually make those transfers. I can't snitch funds out of reserves without your permission. Other reserves. These are draws and contributions. Actually, these are all draws. Last year we had a draw for stabilization reserve with respect to the new fire crew final phase-in. So our final phase-in is in fact happening this year, and that triggers a $140,000 pressure by not drawing on this reserve this year. Same with the EAB. It was a pressure last year. We have, because it was coming in from funding, we stopped the contribution to it specifically, and so we're stopping the draw from reserve here. Stabilization draw, this is the net revenue shortfall that we're experiencing at AFLC. It's forecasted mostly in Mr. Downey's budget with program expenses and program revenues lost, but there's also some operating savings in the IES. And so there's 245 net impact to the budget. So we're drawing from the stabilization to cushion and protect the taxpayer from that so that we keep a steady tax rate over the last year to this year and into next. The stabilization draw is for the SUP revenue. We're anticipating SUP revenues to fall by $325,000 from last year. You'll see that in a couple lines. And so we're drawing from tax rate stabilization to cushion that. As we go into 2C, we expect to see a substantial increase in SUP revenues next year. And there's a separate report was circulated on the agenda a couple weeks back on the SUP rate or taxation and budgeting for SUPs. And we can get into that separately, perhaps, Mr. Mayor. And then the WSIB claim draw. This is the draw from the WSIB reserve to fund those claims that I was speaking of before, and the interest and the insurance premium. Then we have payments in lieu of taxes. Federal and provincial properties do not pay taxes, but they have to pay what would be taxes if they were taxable, and they're called payments in lieu. And so we have things like the Armory, the Post Office, the LCBO, and the Region of York. They all pay us payments in lieu of tax. So it's flatlined at $300,000. Supplementary taxes. This is where that $325,000 reduction is. We left it basically at the last year's level through that SUP through the stabilization draw, but we expect them to be low this coming year as we continue to see a reduction in activity in building services in 13. And we'll see a rebound of activity beginning in 14, but we won't see it in the sup rolls until 15. So we're suggesting that this year we show the low amount on the budget, show a draw to offset it, and then next year we'll budget again at 575. And that concludes my presentation, as these are the total revenues on this side of the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Could I first have a motion to receive Mr. Elliott's presentation, please? Councillor Buck, Councillor Abel. Thank you. Questions for Mr. Elliott on the presentation? Councillor Buck, Councillor Gardner.
I'm not talking about figures, Mr. Mayor. Just an explanation of the retiree. I have several retiree benefits. Is that some benefits we pay to people after they have retired?
Through you, Mr. Chair, if a person retires at the age of 59, they're entitled under our benefits policy to certain benefits till the age of 65. Then they're cut off. It's not benefits for life. It's benefits until normal retirement age. So you retire early, you carry your dental and some of your benefits to normal retirement age.
Is that required by some regulation, or is it simply something we provide?
I can't speak to that specifically. No one in the room would have that answer. We'll see if we can find an answer for you.
Thank you.
It's a fair question.
Thanks. And the debt payment on the SARC, that was a short debenture on SARC. It's $1.8 million. Is that an annual payment on that debenture? Sorry.
I summarized the details of the budget or of the debts a couple weeks ago. Through you, Mr. Chair, the SARC debenture, overbilled debenture, is structured in two separate pieces. One piece, the last payment is in 2015, so next year is $1,563,000. And then so that was a 10-year debenture. There was also a parallel 20-year debenture that pays $320,000 per year for the full 20 years.
So when we did that, when we built that facility, Mr. Elliott, we did it in advance of the anticipated need.
That's correct.
And so we didn't have the development charges to pay for it.
That's correct.
But the idea was that the development charges would pay for the debenture debt. Has that happened?
Absolutely. That's what I was showing you on the slide there, is we draw from the DCs $1.8 million for this debenture, for the two pieces of it. We draw $1.8 million and we pay it to the region of York to pay off those debentures.
Thank you. And
likewise,
penalty on taxes, you have a figure in there for penalties that we collect on taxes, and those penalties don't make any impact on the actual owing taxes. It's just interest on the tax that's owing. And you mentioned maybe in a couple of years we would be looking at a tax sale, meaning if these people don't redeem their properties by a certain date, we would be able they would forfeit their properties and we would be able to sell the property.
That's correct. Through you, Mr. Chair, it's a collection tool that the province has enacted through the Municipal Act. It's got its own separate section. It's quite procedural and rigid in its process. We have one property that is eligible to be sold coming up in February, and it's a property owned by an individual who's had many run-ins with the law and also has de facto abandoned the property for a number of years. It's up on Industrial Parkway, and there's a number of parties in the community that are anxious to see this sale come through. They're looking forward to buying it and putting it into proper use.
Mm-hmm. That's a good thing. But we can only sell it for what's the taxes that are owing?
Under the legislation, we have to recover as much of the taxes as we can, if not all. We're not supposed to sell it for less than the tax balance.
But we can't sell it for a profit.
And we can sell it for more, but we don't keep the profit.
Right.
But we are not, what is really important to understand is we're not obligated to get the market price. We are obligated to sell it to the highest willing purchaser.
And we're obligated to sell it.
Yes.
We can't take it and use it for our own purposes.
If it fails to sell, we could choose that option.
Thank you. And what's workman's compensation claims is we pay into workman's compensation to cover our workers for injuries. And then we pay for the injuries?
Let me help you. There are two ways of working with WSIB. One is you pay an insurance premium to them, and they look after the hurt worker, and you're out. It's like an insurance policy in a traditional sense. We're on the second program, which is self-insured, or they call it Schedule 2. So we are a Schedule 2 employer, and you have to qualify as an employer to do that. And they process and manage all claims, and they send us the bill for any claims that they pay. And so we pay everything that comes through. So somebody's off work for 4 days, or they have a back injury and they're off for a month, or they lost a finger or whatever. WSIB determines the entitlements and the compensation and the costs, and they pass them back to us by invoice.
That's like a deductible then?
It's almost like a deductible. And so we then also carry, because unfortunately, if a worker is very seriously injured, it's extremely costly for lifetime care and children and dependents and all of that. It gets very, very expensive. And so we carry what is referred to as an excess loss insurance policy. So with a third party, not through WSIB, we buy a policy to protect us against those extraordinary losses. And unfortunately, I haven't got on my fingertips what that threshold is.
And that's totally funded by the employer. The employee doesn't contribute anything to that.
That's right.
Thank you.
Councillor Gardner. Would you turn your mic off, please? Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Elliott. Mr. Elliott, can you go over again the EAB reserve? The $235,000 last year was from the tax base?
Last year, during the budget, in the draft budget we had presented, the EAB was going to receive, the EAB reserve was to receive a contribution of $235,000.
From where?
And the draft budget proposed it come from the tax rate. During the budget deliberations at this table, we said, let's fund it from another source, which means reserves, or the prior year surplus. So we did that. So last year we had a draw from reserve and a contribution to the reserve, to the EAB reserve. So draw from surpluses, contribution to EAB. This year we've said, let's roll the EAB reserve in as a asset replacement type reserve, and it'll get its share of the cash to capital for infrastructure. And so we have deleted the draw from reserve because that was a one-time from council, and we've deleted the contribution to reserve and now are rolling it into the, it will still get funding. The program will be funded, but it will be funded from the tax cash to capital, and how we do that is we give a little bit less to everybody else out of that tax cash to capital.
So what does that mean to the taxpayer?
There's no impact to the taxpayer because last year there was no impact, and this year they're both gone. The impact to the taxpayer is zero, and yet the Emerald Ash Borer program is being looked at. What is, in reality, what is happening is our 10-year capital funding plan has been adjusted by negligible amounts, and we'll recalculate that in our 2014 iteration of the 10-year capital plan.
Councillor?
Thank you. Can you go back to page 10 under corporate revenue?
Of my slides?
Yes, please. The slide doesn't have a number.
Page 10. Okay, got it in front of me.
So again, this is showing 325. Is this going to, it doesn't say the out years, is this going to be a continuing expense at this amount?
This is for the stabilization draw on the SUPs?
Sorry, on the SUP, yes.
No, this is a one-time draw. Last year we budgeted 525. As it turns out, that was too high. We think it will be even lower than actual for 14.
So every year we'll be looking at it, and either we'll have higher SUPs than we thought or lower SUPs than we thought.
Certainly. Through you, Mr. Mayor, if we wish, we could jump to that report at this point, or we could hold off on SUP discussion until we get to that report.
I would rather wait to that. Thanks.
Finish this. Any other questions on this particular presentation? Councillor Buck. I'll go to Councillor Johnson first, please.
Just a quick question to follow up on that. We know that SUPs will go up in subsequent years as 2C comes on. Where will the excess in SUPs go in terms of a reserve account?
In the other report where we see the budget being less than the expected SUP revenue, that will be a natural surplus that will land at the end of the year in those years.
So it'll just be general, and then you'll allocate it where you see fit?
It'll be a general surplus to be allocated where council sees fit.
Good answer, Mr. Elliott. Councillor Buck.
The transfer of the cultural centre grant to the recreation or the Parks and Recreation budget and the loss of revenue for the AFLC because of the construction, we normally have a revenue factor in that budget that actually contributes revenue. Those two figures now transferred to that budget, will that put that budget in a deficit rather than a revenue position?
Through you, Mr. Chair, let me separate the two discussions. The cultural center budget has always been in here in corporate revenue and expenses. However, since Mr. Downey has assumed responsibility for culture and that portfolio has the potential to expand now, we own certain artifacts and we're talking potentially a museum of some sort. It's rightful that cost of $370,000 for the Aurora Cultural Center be moved over to his area. He is the director responsible for that contract, and so it's appropriate to move it over there into the Cultural Services Department. So that's all I'm speaking of, is taking the item off of this page and put it into one of Mr. Downey's pages. No impact to the taxpayer.
It will make a difference to his budget.
It will increase his budget, certainly, but it's decreasing mine here.
Right, but that's the one budget, that's the one department that produces revenue.
Right.
And that's a big amount of money. The loss of revenue from the FLC and that chunk of money transferred is going to put that revenue, which has always been a revenue, is now going to be a deficit. It's going to be a tax pressure, as we call it.
Actually, he's already a net tax pressure when you factor in his parks operations as well.
I know, but I'm not factoring in the tax parks operations.
Quite honestly, I'm not terribly concerned with that. I know that his recreation programs are a net contributor to the tax base, but that's recreation. This is culture, different portfolio.
I understand
we can split hairs.
From, Mr. Elliott, because you're an accountant. I'm coming from it from a political aspect. And the question is, will it put Mr. Downey, will it put a budget that has always made money for the town will now be the opposite. It will be, are those two figures going to put that budget in a deficit rather than a revenue?
I'm just looking through his blue sheets here.
It's at least $500,000. And I don't think they had that kind of a revenue picture.
The net program budget for the I'll have to catch you offline.
Okay.
With respect to the second one was the transfer of the draw from stabilization. His 2014 budget, he reduced his revenues for what he will not collect at AFLC this year, and he reduced his program expenses related to those programs that he can't offer there. He also had to increase certain costs over at the SARC, but the net impact to the taxpayer of the closure of the closure of the AFLC is a loss of $245,000 net. And so we're drawing that amount from reserves so that the taxpayer doesn't have to give us a little blip of money to offset that and then not give it to us in the future. So we're just going to stabilize it to keep the tax rate nice and level. No, the Cultural Center grant will not destabilize it. It's just taking it from my budget into his. We'll have no change. And I'm certain that Council will be, with the current contract, the Aurora Cultural Center is required to appear here to seek funding before it gets any funding. So they will have to come, and you will see that line item separated in his budget every year.
Mr. Elliott, page 11, the top slide, I'm not sure what that is, but you're talking about corporate revenue, payment in lieu of taxes, and you've got D&D, you've got the post office. We no longer have a post office in town. Have your revenues been adjusted?
No, they have not.
Now, I don't know what that number would be.
You're absolutely right, but we'll take a look.
I don't think it would probably be all that much, but at the same point, there's going to be an impact there.
I also see that we have not increased payment the tax levy to reflect the forecasted tax levy that's in the budget of 3.77 initial draft. I'll double check that with Mr. Dillman.
Thank you. And and I'm going to get the name wrong, but the OMB decision on Orangeville, on the property tax rebate to the golf courses. No, to it's Orangeville. Yeah, with the property tax reassessment for golf courses. Anyways, whatever. You know what I mean? Has that been fully absorbed into our system now?
The issue is an assessment review board, and it did end up going to the OMB. It had nothing to do with Orangeville.
Okay.
It was the golf course appeal. It was across the province. All of our appeals have been heard. All of our golf courses have been adjusted downward substantially, and they have all received their refunds. So we have managed to flow those all out. We had been accruing them over the course of a number of years and carrying a provision for doubtful tax.
Okay.
And so the auditors have been satisfied with the way we've treated it.
Thank you. If there's no other questions on the presentation?
Yes, your question triggered another one for me, Mr. Mayor. About the post office. Now we'll have a private owner in the post office, so the grant will go, but the assessment will come in rather than the grant. But that reminded me of another question. When you said that we're paying all of this money, 1461 taxes on the basis of federal properties, you mentioned the armories. Are we talking about the armories on the corner of the park? Or are we talking about the old hydro building?
Through you, Mr. Chair, Councillor, you mentioned 1461. That's the federal gas tax money that they transfer to us up above.
Right. Okay.
The only line item that we're referring here is payments in lieu of taxes, $300,000,
yeah, I'm looking
and
at
it's
the wrong
for
page.
the armory on the corner of the park. At this time, MPAC has not found I don't believe that the hydro building is assessed as a commercial occupancy or a federal occupancy. And so we're looking into that, and we're trying to get MPAC to look at that to see if they ought to be paying us a payment in lieu on that property.
Because we own it still.
So there wouldn't be, presumably that would be covered in their rent payment.
It's covered in their rent should they become taxable. It's covered in their rent that they would then pay that amount in addition to their base rents.
Thank you. On the presentation, or are you looking at the blues, Councillor?
I just didn't hear something that Mr. Elliott said. The 240 net loss from the closure of the SARC. What are we doing with that? We're taking money to offset that? And where are we taking that money from, please?
We're taking it from the tax rate stabilization reserve. And so we would otherwise, if we didn't do that, we would have to tax the community to recover that amount. It's a pressure in the budget, and so we would have to tax higher to cover it. And so we're drawing from tax rate stabilization. We're experiencing this as a one-time cost, and so we're drawing from stabilization, and this is a great example of what tax rate stabilization can be used for.
Thank you. I thought it was mostly to be, through Mr. Mayor, mostly to be used for unforeseen situations or huge hits in one year. We seem to be taking a lot out of that reserve this year.
Well, through you, Mr. Chair, I was of the impression that 1% increase on the tax rate was sufficient enough to be merited as a huge. That's the kind of hit that we're talking about, stabilizing the tax rate from doing this each year or over a series of years, up and down, up and down. And so if we didn't do this, we would have to add an extra 1% or 75 points onto the tax rate to recover this pressure.
Okay, let's finish with the presentation here, because I think we want to move into the blue sheets, if we could, please, before the day is over. So all in favor of receiving the presentation? Contrary? That's carried. Thank you. If someone would actually put the motion on the floor that, Linda, if you want to bring that up, please. If someone will put that on the floor, we can. Councillor Humphreys, thank you. Second, Councillor Abel, thank you. So specifically with respect to the budget, any questions for Mr. Elliott with respect to this? Councillor Thompson.
I'm going to start off, and I'm actually going to end up putting an amendment on the floor.
No way. Not letting up. Because I know what it is.
I'm going to put an amendment on the floor that we reduce our reliance on the hydro funds by $100,000 again this year.
Is there a second for Councillor Thompson's amendment? Councillor Humphreys, thank you.
May I speak to it?
Please.
Last year, we voted on a motion to continue to reduce our reliance on the Hydro Reserve Fund, that we would continue to do it on an annual basis. I think that's carrying on with the wishes of this council, but it's also carrying on the wishes of past councils who have in various reports stated that there is a need to reduce our reliance on that reserve fund. We have seen from a fiscal management perspective, the other departments all speak to their need to reduce the reliance on reserves, be it the building fund or wastewater and so forth. And slowly, bit by bit, we've done that. Finance has a report to reduce our reliance on SUPs. And so I think it's just in keeping with our general fiscal policy to reduce our reliance on it. I also don't see it as an annual investment income like what Mr. Elliott has shown elsewhere. Someday, that hydro fund may not be there for us to draw upon because we've chosen to utilize it for some sort of project. And then what we're doing is essentially creating a future pressure for future councils to deal with. I think that in keeping with our general policies, and not to rehash all the arguments that we said last year as well as in previous years, that it's in keeping with good management to continue on that plan to reduce our reliance. Granted, I recognize that there are pressures in terms of the rate and so forth, but in this case, I think that you look at the principle behind it as opposed to the rate, and we continue on the policy of slowly reducing it. And I'll start it at $100,000, and that's my rationale behind it.
So it's kind of like a bid, an auction thing?
If there's appetite for more to reduce our reliance, so be it. But, I'm mindful of the fact that we're trying to keep taxes in line, but I just think that we're late in our term. You know, it would have been nice if we had done 100,000 each year over the 4 years, but we are where we are. And, you know, Council saw the rationale behind it to reduce by 100,000 last year, and I want to continue that plan. And so that's why I made forth that motion.
Thank you, sir. Other speakers? Councillor Abel.
Well, I appreciate Councillor Thompson. It's almost a reversal of the last term where they left us with the fire crew and nothing in the fund and the reliance. So not only have we taken away that for the next term, we've employed less reliance on the interest on the hydro fund. We've also initiated a pressure that's coming down the road at the Emerald Ash Borer. So those three things alone are going to be a positive impact and something that this council saw needing a change in direction. So a little bit here, a little bit there, and that's what it's all about. So if we can reduce pressure for the next term, I think that's key. So I support that amendment.
Thank you, Councillor. Other speakers? Councillor Buck.
Well, there are a couple of things are not comparative to other reserves. The hydro asset fund came from the sale of an asset and the reserve created and quite deliberately created in order for it to be used to replace one highly valuable asset. It was a very difficult decision to make, with another asset, with something that we could never do. We could never justify collecting taxes to pay for. Our other reserves come from taxes, and the objective is to have money available for replacement and repair and replacement of assets. So it's not the same. Also, Mr. Elliott, the 200 or 5, reduce it by, what is it?
$100,000.
$100,000. What percentage of the tax rate is $100,000?
It's 0.3% on our share, on our tax rate, and it's 0.11 on the combined taxpayer bill.
Thank you. Well, a little bit here and a little bit there, as Councillor Abel has just said, to me represents less burden on the taxpayers. That's what I look for. Reduce the burden on the taxpayer's shoulder by a little bit here and a little bit there. And this $100,000 is a reduction on the tax bill. Not, if that's your priority, to reduce the burden on the homeowners, then the little bits count. I'm not in favor of taking $100,000 or reducing our reliance by another $100,000 this year. And I think it's semantics. You put it in with the reserve and let it earn whatever interest, and it's minimal interest at this time. I want to do something that will mean something to the people, the bills that they're paying every quarter to the town of Aurora. And this, by relinquishing this, doesn't do that. And I don't see any particular merit in doing it for the sake of reducing reliance.
Other speakers to this? Go ahead. Thank you. Appreciate that. And Councillor Thompson and I have had this discussion a couple of times, and we certainly had a pretty robust discussion last year when it came up. And I certainly appreciate the sentiment for doing this. My thought all along has been that if we actually had Aurora Hydro in place today, that we would be receiving a dividend from them. And I'll use our neighbors to the north, who on top of their regular dividend got, I think, an extra bonus of $500,000 because they had I guess they had a particularly good year in selling electricity in Newmarket. I'm not sure. So my thinking along this is that we don't have Aurora Hydro anymore, obviously. We do have the funds from that sale, and while I appreciate Councillor Thompson's point, I still think that it's justifiable to take a certain amount of money from that and use that as a dividend in order to help us manage. I certainly appreciate the concept of getting off that, and I would see that as perhaps a separate discussion as we go forward this year to see, to put a long-term plan into place as to how to do this. We are going to be very fortunate in the next probably 2 years or so in terms of looking at a dramatic increase in obviously our DC charges, which we can't touch, but there's obviously going to be a following on of a substantial increase in our tax base. And I think that looking towards that, and Mr. Elliott has forecasted out a reduction in our reliance on supplementals, which is the way to go. And I think that forecasting out to have a lower reliance on interest from the hydro money makes the equivalent amount of sense. And Councillor Thompson's just waiting to jump in on my argument here. But it's for that reason that I can't support it right now, but I would certainly support something going forward to look at this in a bit different light as a separate item. Councillor Thompson.
With all due respect, that's exactly what the motion called upon last year that we all agreed upon, was that plan. And then, so we did it for 1 year, now we've abandoned the plan. But, it's a principle approach, and you look at it, if you want to keep using the interest from that fund to keep taxes lower, then really that fund is an endowment fund. You're never going to touch that fund. You're going to keep it there and always use that interest, to help mitigate tax pressures. And if that's the principle behind that fund, so be it. Let's have that conversation and make that decision that we're never going to touch that fund. We're going to just allow it to sit there, and we're going to use that interest to keep taxes lower. Meanwhile, as we've discussed many times before, that becomes a fund of diminishing return because that $34 million buys less each year as we take that revenue generated from the interest and utilize it. We've said it before that in 2006 you could buy X with that money, and in 2013 it's significantly less what you can buy with that same amount of money because we keep robbing Peter to pay Paul. And, if you say, well, $500,000 is okay, I think Mr. Elliott has shown in previous reports that the interest that it's currently earning is probably $700,000 or $800,000. Fine, let's use all of it. Why just use a portion of it? But I don't subscribe to that principle whereby you say, well, I'm going to utilize some so I can help mitigate tax pressures, and I'll leave it for somebody in the future to deal with this issue if we ever decide to use that money. To me, it's not an endowment fund. It is meant for a specific project at some point in time to maintain its purchasing power. One part that we've discussed is that the interest needs to go back in it. The second part is we need to apply the same policies or fiscal management that we apply across the board to it to reduce our reliance on it so that we don't leave that tax pressure down the road. $500,000 to a future council is 1.6 or 1.7% of a tax increase. I don't think that we would really like somebody in the future to look back and say, geez, I wish they would have dealt with that situation, but they passed it on to us. And so I think it is our responsibility to continue to reduce our reliance on it because that is good fiscal management. That's what the motion spoke to last, that we all agreed upon, and so I'd like to continue it.
Other speakers to Councillor Thompson's motion? Amendment, pardon me. If not, calling the vote, all in favor of the amendment? Contrary? The amendment carries. Back to the main motion. Councillor Thompson, you had the floor.
I'm okay for now. That's my main point.
Other speakers to Mr. Elliott's budget? In that case, calling the vote. All in favor? As amended. Contrary? That is carried. Thank you very much. That is it.
Mayor, may I suggest that if there's willingness around the table, maybe we do deal with Mr. Elliott's report on supplementals, since it does directly tie back into this budget. I'm not sure how much discussion around it. Really, again, it's a principled approach to the strategy that he's outlined, and that way that completes Mr. Elliott's budgetary presentations.
I'm fine with that. Okay, someone will put that on the floor first. Councillor Thompson, thank you. Second. Councillor Abel. Speakers. You have to go to a different microphone. And
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry, but I have another meeting tonight and I have to leave. So whatever is the will around the council table, but I won't be able to be here.
okay, thank you. Other speakers? Councillor Ballard.
I'm in the same boat. I have a 4:30 meeting I have to get to. And I'm already running a little late to get to it, so I have to go.
Okay. Okay. Other speakers? Mr. Elliott, would you care to go over this for us? Fairly important criteria.
Very briefly, the graphic in it pretty much carries through. It's just cumulative, and so if I just speak to the first graphic, perhaps. You'll see on page 2 of my report, this was in the January 11th agenda pack, history of supplementary taxes. You can see we went back and looked at the actual receipts of supplementary taxes by year in which we billed them, and we mapped those against the budget value that we included in our operating budget. You can see in 2006 we had no budget. In 2007 we began developing, we knew that 2B was coming online, and we added a budget line item of $420,000 or $500,000 of revenues from supplementary taxes, and then it wobbled along there. But we let the actuals spike and peak in 2B, spiking in 2010. Everything that was earned between those two lines developed and drove annual surplus, being that the revenues were higher than budget. In 2013, you can see that we actually expect that our 13 SUPs are going to come in less than budgeted. And so what staff are looking at is there's got to be a way of trying to map out what's going to happen as we now go into 2C. Can we use the 2B experience and map it forward? And how long will it last? We know how many permits are there. And so we put a bunch of us around the table and collaborated and developed this graphic on page 54 of that report to show the development activity forecast for 2C. So there's units and there's thousands of square meters of non-res. And so we tried to be conservative, but we see 2014 as picking up a little less than our budget of, it's picking up in 14, but we expect a peak in 15. Sort of now that the gates are open, we're now getting subdivision final drafts ready for execution. We've got one to do this week. We're expecting building permits to be let in April, May, and then those will be completed, but it'll be too late to be picked up on the SUPs this year, so they'll get picked up on the SUP the following year. And so we see quite a spike in 15, and then we see it beginning to taper off. So we open the floodgate, and then it's going to taper off over the next 10 years. So we then turn around, and I tried to value what those SUP revenues would be. And you'll see in 14, we think it's going to be less, about 225, peaking up to over $1.1 million in 2015, and then tapering off. And that graphic pretty much represents the residential line on the other side. We've tried to ignore the non-res in forecasting revenues because it's very, very difficult to forecast when a particular parcel of non-res will go, and it goes in spurts. And if we miss it by a year or two, that has a dramatic impact on our budgets. And so we're just going to note that it's there, and we kind of back end the forecast. so that we don't get too reliant on something that may or may not happen. But we're fairly confident with the activity level forecast for 2C res. And so here's the forecast. We turn that now to dollars, and here's what we see happening in dollars wise. The trouble is if we budget for those fully, we're going to end up, as they diminish, we're going to be transferring tax pressure onto the tax rate. And so we would mitigate tax pressure, so we would have perhaps even a tax reduction in the front of that, followed by heavier tax increases than otherwise later. So we are recommending, knowing that this is the last greenfield sort of burst of activity, we see the long-term SUP activity down below 200,000, maybe 150, 175. And so we see that as the long-term, what would happen in an infill and redevelopment scenario. There will always be SUPs because there will always be construction activity. Somebody's going to add an extension on, they're going to add a second floor on, there's going to be activity, and there's infill and redevelopments. So we see the budget for SUP should come down from where we are today at 575 and get down to about 175 or 150 in the long haul. So that's actually the strategy that we're recommending. This year with the extra low, we're recommending a draw from stabilization, and then do not budget higher next year. Begin to wean off of this during the strong years of the SUP activity. Allow it to go to surplus, but then we come out the end with a stabilized tax rate and a long-term norm for those revenues. I hope that summarizes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Questions for Mr. Elliott on this? Councillor Thompson? Councillor Buck?
I'm trying to relate those supplementary tax revenues to the increased costs of providing the services to those new areas. They're not necessarily, it's not necessarily increased wealth to the municipality. It kind of balances itself out. We've got all those extra miles of streets to plow in the wintertime and maintain, and parks to provide for. So the idea of forecasting the growth of supplementary taxes by itself, I don't understand why we would do that. I know that in the past we have never used supplementary taxes to subsidize a budget. And in the last few years, we've been taking 50% of what we anticipate to subsidize the budget. And I think the way we used to do it is the right way to do it. I don't think we should be using. You think we should use the revenue from the interest of the hydro asset? I don't think we should use supplementary assessment at all. And to subsidize, I don't think it gives you a realistic picture of what the budget is when you use revenues you don't have yet to make them smaller.
That's the whole point of this presentation.
The discussion.
Yeah.
He wants to reduce the reliance to that 150.
Okay, I'll listen some more.
I mean, I think past councils have very much used supplemental revenues to offset budget pressures.
Well, they were the first ones.
For me?
They were the first to do it.
Well, I'm just saying that. Anyways, Councillor Thompson.
And I didn't agree with it then either.
Thank you. I certainly do agree with the principle that we need to reduce a reliance on supplementals because of the fluctuation. And, I like our end point being that just plan for $150,000 a year. I think that's a reasonable amount. I guess it's just the from here to there point that I just have some questions about. When I look at it, I mean, you already mentioned that in 2015 you expect over $1 million in supplementals. So over that course of period, if we stay at the 250 mark, we're going to see about $2 million in surplus revenue come into us as a result of supplementaries. And so, I mean, help me to understand why you picked 250 and then a 7 or 8 year horizon to get down to 150. Really, why not I mean, it's really only a reduction of $10,000 or $15,000 a year. Why not lessen that impact or draw on the stabilization rate this year and then slowly tier it down? Because we have enough years and there's enough surplus revenue coming in to make it a little bit more palatable, I guess, in my eyes.
I think we're on the same page, Councillor. In 2013, we budgeted $525 for subs. And surprisingly, we did come in not far off of that. However, we know that our building activity during 13 was less than during 12. And so we're expecting a trough in 14 sub. The supplementary revenue is almost, it's a retroactive assessment of those properties. They get occupied and they're tax-free for a while, and then MPAC comes along, retroactively assesses them tax to the point of occupancy. It's rightful tax, and we know that it happens every year. It's just the degree to which we wish to budget for it, and can we forecast it. And it's one of the more difficult ones to forecast. And so we actually have a budget from last year of $525. Our expectation for 14 is less, and so we're drawing from stabilization to reverse that or to neutralize that drop, and then we begin the drop from the 525 level down to the 150. So that's what you see on the chart where we're budgeting. I'm showing the budget as 575 or 525 in 2014. It's the sub number plus the draw.
Got you. So it's also the reduction in the reliance on the stabilization. So on one hand, you're reducing your reliance on stabilization year after year, but you're also topping that stabilization back up with the subs that are over and above that number.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Other comments? Mr. Elliott, I'm fully in support of this. My thought around supplementals is like buying a lottery ticket to cover your retirement.
What's wrong with that?
I've heard that hope is not a strategy. But it's the numbers that are projected is why I think that in terms of managing it against getting off the hydro fund is why I would include that. Anyways, council's already made that decision, so we'll move forward. So excellent report, Mr. Elliott. Thank you, and I think this is absolutely the way to go.
I'd be happy to chat about it with anybody that's interested to sit and have a coffee with me, and we can go through it.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments or questions on Mr. Elliott's report? All in favor? Contrary? That's carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Elliott. We would be looking for a motion to recess, Mr. Clerk, till the 27th of January at 7 p.m. Councillor Thompson, thank you. Councillor Humphrey, second. All in favor? Contrary? That's carried. Thank you, staff.